Hi, I'm going to show you how I sew my Go Passport Wallet pattern that's available in PDF. I used to carry our family passports in this big honkin' thing, but now with boarding passes being mainly electronic and scannable on your phone, I just carry a little one, and it's like this. It holds two on each side easily with these pockets. I do a snap closure. And then on the back, I have a zipper pocket in case I want to put change in there or a key or a hotel card. And it's small enough that it easily fits into my purse. So let's go sew it. So first of all, you're going to want to either print out the pattern that's available in PDF or have it on your iPad, something close by, so that you have all your materials. I have the cutting and prep right here on the page 2. Very easily understood. So with mine, I like to use non-directionals so that there's never an issue. You can make this out of vinyl as well, but I've already cut these pieces a long time ago out of this really pretty fabric from Rashida Coleman Hale, and I'm just going to sew it in this. And this one, I actually had to piece an extra strip on the end to make it wide enough. Do what you have to do, play with your scraps. It'd be so pretty, strip pieced and rainbow or whatever. Have fun with it. Okay, so you want to cut one exterior and one lining for the main body pieces. And your batting, or I used fusible fleece. And this is going to be, I think, my inside. So I've attached the fusible fleece here. This will be my exterior. And I've already fused on the SF101 interfacing here. I also have my flap pieces already cut out. The pattern comes with a flap piece, and I like to label my pieces with the Post-it notes. And I have fused SF101 to one, and I fused fusible fleece to the other piece. Place these right sides together. Pop a pin in, and we'll be sewing around the outer edge at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And what I like to do usually to make that curved edge really pop, after I sew it, I bring in pinking shears, which are those jaggedy edge scissors, and I cut real quickly all around the edge of the seam allowance, because the pinking shears then have the little notches cut out, and they'll allow the curves to really pop. Here we are. Oh my God, I already forgot. So like I said, normally I would use my pinking shears, but I've been sewing a lot of clothing downstairs. That's where my serger is at. So that's where my pinking shears are. So if you don't have pinking shears, right along the curves, you want a notch. And that just helps the curved section pop more nicely. Did I say that right? Pop nicely, pop nicer, something. Anyways, just do it. Okay, and I'm going to kind of angle my corners and trim down my seam allowance a little bit. And the top stays open. We didn't sew the top, because now you flip this out. Give it a press. Bring in my little ironing board here. Take your time pressing this. You want to do a good job pressing, because we're going to top stitch around the edge. And one thing that bugs me when I make stuff is if I don't top stitch well, because it's noticeable. So just take your time. I find a really hot iron very helpful, and taking my time pressing super helpful when I'm sewing the top stitching. So I kind of look for the side that I like better. For the outside, I think it's going to be this one, and I'm going to top stitch all the way around, and I'll meet you right back here. This Janome is so smooth, I can't even believe it. And I'm sewing without a pedal. I'm literally starting and stopping with this start and stop button, which is just so high tech to me. We'll put on our cam snap later. I've got all my stuff here. Okay, so let's travel to the next step. Step 2, fold pocket pieces in half along the 6.5 inch side. Now I'm just doing one slip-in pocket because I'm going to do the optional credit card slots with this clear glitter vinyl. So that's why I'm just going to show you this one pocket, but it's the same if you do both pockets like this. Now what you can do is check to make sure that you folded the right edge. It can happen easily that you're folding the wrong edge because they're very close in measurement. So I just lay it on top of my inside lining piece to check, and this is correct. So that's the edge that we're top stitching right now. So let's do that. You're just matching the raw edges here. So I'm going to pop a pin in. And we're going to sew down, over, and over, just like that, to secure the pocket to the lining piece. I stop with my needle down and pivot. And one pocket is attached. One pocket is in. Oh, that's pretty bright. One pocket is in. You would just repeat that process to the other side if you're doing 2 slip-in pockets. I'm going to show you how I do the credit card slots. So because I'm doing clear vinyl pockets, I'm going to bind the top edge, first of all, so I can see the pockets clearly when I open the case, and also because sometimes some people say this feels a little, I don't know, sharp. It doesn't feel sharp to me, but it's cuter with binding, so let's just bind it. I like to buy prepackaged Wright's double fold binding, and I just place down the top edge and sew down. So I'm going to do that for my pockets. If you're using cloth, my instructions show 3 pockets for credit card slots. I'm just going to put on 2 because I don't have a ton of credit cards, especially if I'm traveling. I just have a couple with me. And with the vinyl, I feel like less is a little better. You can tuck in quite a few in these pockets. So let's bind these top edges, and I'll meet you back here for placement. You can see that top edge. This one I'm going to sew on right now. I just make sure when I'm sewing this on, because I do it the cheater method where I do both sides at once, that I'm sewing with the shorter edge facing up towards me so that I know I'm catching both sides at the same time. Make sure it's on there straight. Trim off the excess. And now placement. So your first pocket, you want to measure, I have my pattern here, 1.5 inches up from the side edge. So here's 1.5. I want the bottom to be centered, pretty much centered. It's to keep the vinyl out of the seam allowances when we sew this thing together at the end. So I'm centering the pocket, and it's 1.5 inches up from this edge. Now, normally I would say don't pin the vinyl. We've got this binded edge, so we're okay to throw some pins in here. It's going to be fine. And I'm going to sew down the side, the bottom, and this side to keep this pocket in place. Now I'm ready for my second pocket. I'm going to turn it again so that I can measure 3/4 of an inch from the edge, and that's where the bottom of the second pocket will hit. If you're having trouble sewing on the vinyl, you need to put on a Teflon foot. Some machines can handle it, like this Janome, without changing the foot. Some cannot. Most cannot, I would say. Okay, so I have instructions for 3 pockets. Personal preference, I'm just going to have the 2. Now we want to make sure that credit cards will fit in here. So you measure 1 3/8, 1, 2, 3. The little tiny hash marks are the 1/8 marks. And you want to get, I use these Pilot friction pens because they come off the fabric with some iron, with heat. Measure in 1 3/8. I'm going to flip this around, do the same on this side, 1 3/8. Draw my line, and we're going to sew here and here. Now, if you used vinyl and you made those marks, you want to only touch your iron to the fabric to erase the pen marks. If you made pen marks on your vinyl, just get a wipey, a Lysol wipe or an alcohol pad, or even nail polish remover, and do it with a Q-tip and get your marks off the vinyl. Don't touch your iron to the vinyl. That won't be good. So now my credit cards will fit, and we can go back to the instructions. Now I'm going to add the optional zipper pocket. These directions start on page 4 with step 3. Take optional zipper pocket piece and place on the work surface horizontally. And I will show you this from the top cam so it's super clear. Set your piece that we just worked on, the lining body, to the side now with your finished flap. Take the optional zipper pocket, turn it so the wrong side is up. Measure 3.75 inches from the left side and draw a line. Move the ruler over another 1/2 inch, draw another line. Turn the piece, measure 1/2 inch in from the long side, turn it around, and do the same on this, 1/2 inch in. This is now where the zipper window is going to be. You're going to take your main exterior outer piece. So see how this ends up showing? So the outside main body piece, and place it up. Now remember that this was the left side. You may want to mark a left and a right, because it's important that you place this right sides together in the correct way. So because I have a ruler under me, I can see 1 inch. Here's 1 inch. I'll draw a line. 1 inch down from the left side, and that is where I want my zipper box to be. And I want it centered. I want these two centered, right sides together, and that first line we drew is 1 inch down from the outer main body piece. Okay? Look at that diagram if you're confused. Place some pins in here because we're going to sew directly on that rectangle. If you're having trouble centering, you can always fold these pieces. Let me show you. It's kind of a trick. Fold this to make a little crease. Fold this guy to make a crease. And then match the creases, then you know you're lined up. Oops, sorry. And make sure your zipper line, that window line, is 1 inch down. Okay. Let's take this to the machine and sew with a tight stitch. I like 2 millimeters all the way around that window. Now, step 5, take your pins out so you don't hurt yourself. And then, if you're new to this, I would draw a line down the center of the box. And then 2 V-notches on each end. That's what we're going to cut through now, all layers. It's not very big, so be careful. I usually come in with my hand scissors and do the rest. You can cut away those triangles. And now you'll push it through. If you're having your corners pucker, you might need to come in and snip a thread. Sometimes it's just one thread that's making it pucker. Just snip the thread. Okay, so now we're ready to add in our zipper. Sometimes I use tape, sometimes I use pins. It just depends, whatever you're comfortable with. Double-sided Wonder Tape is great to hold zippers in place. I'm just out of it and I want to get this done, so I'm going to use pins. So I've got that pinned. And I'm going to sew all the way around. And because I'm using a nylon zipper, I can sew right over the zipper teeth. If you're using a metal zipper, you're going to have to hand crank it over the metal. Don't bust your needle or hurt yourself. I did want to show you, when you're sewing this, if you've not put on your zipper foot, whenever you get close to that zipper head, lift up your foot and move that zipper head out of the way. And then continue sewing. Otherwise, you'll get bump outs. So my zipper is in. I'm going to trim these threads. Come to the back and snip your zipper away. Be careful not to cut your pocket like I just did. You can get right up there next to it. And now you're going to fold this down and place a pin in. Match your bottom seams there. See, the bottom is matched. And we're going to sew down the side on each and then across the bottom, and your zipper pocket is done.
sewing without a pedal. I'm getting there, I'm getting used to it.
Okay, take your pin out and press it, and there's your pocket. I love having pockets. That's why I take the time to put one in. This is much faster without it, but it's so cute and so nice to have a pocket for whatever you need. Okay, so carrying on. Now we're going to attach the flap. Take your finished flap piece. Take your finished flap piece and center it and put it right there over your zipper pocket if you put one in. Make sure it's centered. Put a pin or two in, and then we're going to sew that down right across that raw edge. Okay, so mine is attached and on there. Now we need to add our snaps. All right, we're almost there. We're on the home stretch. So go from the edge. Remember, I pieced this. That's why it's not all blue, because I ran out of the blue fabric, so this is just a pieced in strip, okay? So don't get confused. I am measuring 2.5 inches over, which is on the diagram. I'm on step 9, and I'm going to draw a line. Then I'm going to fold this over this way so I can mark my center crease here. This is just to find the center. That is where I want my snap to go, right there. I'm going to zoom in a bit here. Can you see where those junctions meet? That's where I want my snap to be, and I want it to be centered, because when this is going to be a finished thing, excuse me, then that's where that snap will go, you see? So we do one snap here and one snap on the flap. So it's really important to make sure you're putting the correct side facing out. So this is going to be this connector. I guess that's the female connector. And I'm applying it with my cam snap press because I don't do hand tools. I don't have time for that. Proper tools make things much easier. And now the other snap end, the male end, will go on the flap here. Now please, Lord, tell me I centered that. Okay, so now this one, I always put the sharp pointy end in so that I know that it's going to go in the right spot. So I get that in there. Come on, get through there. And you don't have to do that. That's just my thing because I've messed up so many snaps before. So now you have to change the die if you're using a cam press. Super easy. I've got a little video showing how I use my cam press if you need it. It's on my channel. And this is the other end, I guess the male end. Make sure you're putting it on the correct side and press that on. And within seconds, we have a working snap here. We're almost done. See how that's going to be? Isn't that awesome? And I didn't kill my wrists with hand tools. Okay. I can move that out of the way. Let's finish this bad boy up. Okay, Train, I hear you. If you want to add a little tag because you're selling these, put it in now. I like to have a little tag. It's nice. It's cute. Okay, here we go. We're going to place these right sides together. I like to pin these layers instead of using clips. I just feel like on smaller projects, pins work better for me because it's easy for them to slip around. Alrighty then, leave a space at the end with no flap. So in other words, this end does not have the flap, okay? So this is the end I'm going to keep open for turning. It's just easier that way. I've made a million of these. It's just easier. So my opening will be like that big, roughly, okay? I'm sewing up, pivot, over, down, up, and over, and I'll stop there. Trim your seam allowances. I like to come in and do this. It just gives a cleaner finish. Make sure to trim your corners. Then you're going to turn it out.
I'll speed this part up.
Take your time to really get those corners pushed out. You may want to use a turning tool. Sometimes I use a chopstick or even a pen. I sew all over my house, so my tools are not all in one space, which is super annoying until summertime. Then I'll be out on the back porch and everything will be in one spot. Okay, you're just going to turn in your opening on that end and give it a good press. And then sew it closed. I like the top stitching because it's also another security layer, you know. I always go around the project and make sure I've snipped all my threads. And there she is, a cute little passport wallet. Here's my zipper pocket. Snap for security, my tag, credit card, wallets, passport. I'm gonna put 2 passports in there right now, in fact. You can see how once stuffed, it looks even better. I just love this. I hope you have fun. There's my passport wallet. And as you can see, it doesn't take that long to make. It's super fun. I think these would be really cute, super scrappy, like just piece a bunch of 1-inch strips maybe and do that if you're fired up. Make it out of vinyl, croc vinyl, stardust vinyl. Those are in my shop. They work fantastically and you don't need interfacing because the vinyl has enough body on its own. I highly recommend the Cam Snap Press. You can find it on Etsy. And also my labels, I get a lot of questions about these. I get these at worldwideweb.com. They're also on Etsy at Worldwide Labels, I believe. Oh my gosh, World Wide Web. I said World Wide Web. Oh, what is wrong with me? Ooh. Okay, I get my labels at worldwidelabel.com. Also Worldwide Label on Etsy. I've used them for over 10 years and I just love their quality. They're fast and they're really inexpensive. Okay, I can't wait to see your Go passport wallets. Thank you so much and thanks for subscribing and hitting like. I'll see you soon.